Hey, we are here. Hello, everyone. I can see some people jumping on already. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for jumping on. I have the amazing Danielle Shembri here, one of my very favorite OTs. And I'm going to introduce her. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of her background and what we're going to be talking about today, which if you are in... Hey, Cara.
Hi, Cara.
Hey guys, we've got some lovely mums and dads jumping on. You guys, if you are watching now in Let's Raise Emotionally Intelligent Kids, you are going to love what Danielle is going to share with us every time I speak with her, which is actually very regularly. I'm like off to the side taking notes because she has so much wisdom. But anyway, hello, Danielle, and thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Hello. You're setting me up for failure here. Can I just preface by saying I've never done this before, so I'm going to be awkward and I'm going to stumble on my words and all of those sorts of things. So yeah, everyone watching, please give me some grace here. I'm smarter than I will look, I promise.
We love those kind of people. I think, like, I know you personally, you're so real and so raw and authentic and yourself and down to earth, and yet so friggin' smart and intelligent and switched on. And you get kids and you get parents and you get your craft, occupational therapy. Anyway, so I'm also really pumped. Hey, Sophie. Thank you, Cara. So guys, if you are watching this later on YouTube, please put some comments down below about what comes up for you with Danielle and her knowledge and all her wisdom that she's going to share, and all the questions I'm going to pump out because I'm so excited that she's here. I've got lots of stuff to ask her. No pressure. So Danielle and I planned to do a session tonight just together, a bit of an interview, a conversation about really, I think, something that parents are beginning to now understand a little bit more, their own sensory system. I love talking about the nervous system and things like that. I'm also by no means an expert. However, Danielle is, I want to call you like an expert of the sensory system.
Look, I'll accept all of the beautiful things you said earlier, but I won't take expert. But I know a little in the area and I dabble, but I won't take expert.
That's totally fine.
I think ethically I'm not allowed to as an OT as well anyway. So
no.
I'll blame them.
And to me, you are, and to the parents watching, please let us know, guys. I'm looking down here because I'm looking at my feed and I want to know where you guys are watching from. Please say hello in the comments, because when you guys do put a little emoji or a hi or let us know where in the world you are, that does boost the video so that other people, other parents who are on their phone scrolling, they will be notified. It comes up in their feed if we can get some engagement. So please do that. And yeah, let us know that you are here and watching. And I want to introduce properly Danielle to everyone. So like I said, I've known Danielle for, I didn't prep this. I don't know how long we've worked before.
10, it's 10 plus. Is it 10?
It's at least 10 years. Cara might know. Cara. But Danielle is an amazing occupational therapist. She's here in Sydney, Australia, just like me. She's a mum of 3 beautiful young little girls. She has a passion for providing natural support strategies that mean we have more time to devote to enjoying what truly matters to us. You know, the things that light us up. Maybe that's our kids, our family, or our work and things like that. And so she, like I said, she's always sharing her just nuggets of wisdom and stuff that help me not only with my family, but in my practice as well with parents. So again, I just want to say a huge thank you, because it's evening time and you have little ones. And so thank you.
Thank you.
So tonight we're talking about really how we can understand and honor our sensory system so that we can best support our kids. And maybe even, like we've talked a bit about, and I understand, again, a fraction of the sensory system and the different senses. I swear, like, we learned growing up that there were 5 senses, but that's incorrect.
Tis incorrect. It's very incorrect. Yeah, so we all know the five. So yeah, and I always forget one. It's like the seven dwarves. There's always one where I'm like, hold on a second, which did I miss? But yeah, your smell, your taste, your sight, your touch, and your hearing. And they are five extremely important senses, and they are how we interact with the world. They are how we learn. They're how we experience pleasure. They're how we keep safe. But there's three others that are also very, very important. So those are your proprioceptive sense. So what that is where I am. It helps me to understand where I am in relation to the world around me. So there are little receptors in my muscles and in my joints that help me to understand where my body is in space. So I am able to close my eyes and put my finger on my nose because I know where my finger is, I know where my nose is, and I have that idea of it. There is our vestibular sense, which helps us to orient where our head is in relation to gravity. So essentially it keeps us upright, or it just gives us that feedback so that we know where we are in space, helps us to remain focused, it helps us to visually track. And then we also have our interoceptive sense, which is such a complex, but honestly, I actually think it's quite a beautiful sense. And I don't know if you can use that word to describe a sensation, but I am slightly obsessed with our interoceptive system. And I'm sure you are too, given your space. So essentially, the interoceptive system is an internal sense in our bodies. It helps us to sense what is going on inside. So am I hungry? Am I full? Do I need to go to the toilet? Am I tired? And it also helps us to understand, or it aims to help us to understand and interpret our emotions. So, oh, this sensation means that I am feeling a little bit anxious right now. So then we can actually respond. But that then goes beyond just your sensory system, because that's an actual conscious decision that you need to make and you need to learn, which I think we're learning a little bit more about today, and I guess we'll go into a bit more today. So we'll probably talk a lot about that interoceptive system today, I'd say, because that's the one that really it's getting a lot, it's getting its time in the spotlight right now, which is really, really awesome. And also there's still so much that we are yet to understand about it as well. So I think we need to acknowledge and accept that as well.
Yes, I swear, like before you said interoception is probably what we're going to talk about the most. As soon as you said, so the eighth one is interoception, I was like, yes.
Tell me more.
I feel like 10 years ago or so, like, you know, before 15 years ago at university, like for most people who are in the group, I've posted a bit about my background as a speech pathologist and learning obviously where the head and the neck kind of area. But we learned about the senses, and I believe I learned those extra two, the proprioception and vestibular, probably, I'm sure, a scratch of the surface. But interoception, I've just really discovered in the last year or two, maybe the last year. So is this, I want to like pick your brain on it. And I have questions like, is it something, are these senses things that we're all just born with automatically, or do they develop in kids over time? And why do we, I just want to help parents to understand, what does it look like when our kids or we as adults don't have an awareness? Like, I wasn't aware of interoception. I had no recognition or awareness of my anxiety or feeling hot or uncomfortable. So do you think I could cope with that? No, I just shoved it down. Anyway.
I think when going back to what you were saying about hearing about the 7 senses, sometimes if you go online and you actually Google how many senses do we have, some web pages will actually tell you we only have 7. And sometimes when you're getting information, I find that interoception gets forgotten, and whether or not it's because it's in the too hard basket, I really don't know. I can't give a good answer as to why sometimes it gets missed. In terms of the senses, so for the most part, we should all be born with our 8, I nearly said 7 and slipped up there, senses. So they do develop in utero. I think touch is first, followed by vestibular. I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. So they do have a pattern. And for the most part, we do have, in terms of, I'm just trying to think, I guess there's a typical sort of range so to speak. And I think I've got to be very cautious with saying that, because we all experience sensation differently, right down to the fact that, how do I know my red and your red are the same red, right? So, and that goes across all of our systems. How can I really know that my experience and your experience are the same? I think the difference that then comes is in our ability to regulate, and that often becomes a little bit of a challenge. So I have the ability, so if I let's focus on the interoceptive sense, because it is, I'm going to pick the tricky one. If I feel that sensation in my belly, I know that it's hunger and I know that I can feed it. Or if I feel, for the most part as an adult, I understand when I'm getting a little bit anxious. I can sense my cues, right? But that is something I have learned to do. And it's something even I've only learned really how to do it in probably the last 5 to 10 years, if that, So I guess then it goes back to our kids and how much do we expect them to know? Now, there are plenty of things that we can teach them, and I see them in my own 5-year-old and even my 3-year-old actually, who I see now taking her big breaths. And even I was getting really frustrated the other day, and I didn't even realize I do it. And I did it. I breathed in and I breathed out, and she just looked at me and went, "Good job, mummy." I don't know if she was being condescending. If you've met the child, she probably was. But she recognized straight away that I was regulating my sensory system. And I watch my kids do it too. So it's obviously something that we can teach. And I have seen things where, they say that you can teach some of these strategies to children as young as 3. Wow. So now that we know, let's do better, right?
That 100%, like same as you. I feel like the last few years is when I've had a bit of awareness, and so therefore a handle on my anxiety and feeling when it's coming, like recognizing literally it's the sensations, the feelings from my tummy and it coming up, and like the yucky, like it's really hard to articulate these feelings and sensations. And I'm jumping around, but like if we can't do that ourselves, if we don't have an awareness or the skill of interoception, are we able to try and teach our kids how to recognize when they're getting frustrated or if they need food and stuff like that?
So I guess I've got 2 tangents I want to take your comment there with. The first is that exactly as you said, how can we expect it from our kids? So if you think about, well, I can think personally, I can only speak for myself. So I think about when I am feeling anxious/nervous, and I think about when I'm feeling excited, and in my body, very similar. If I had to peel away the thought process behind it, the physical reaction in my body, the butterflies, the jitters, the clammy hands, my shoulders get tight, I might start fidgeting with my fingers. I'll do that whether I'm nervous or I'm excited. So I then can process and think contextually, well, this is a situation where I'm very obviously excited and not nervous. And then I can kind of go down that stream of thinking and regulate myself along that path. So that's something, it's quite highly complex. And then I guess in terms of the thing that I think is such an important concept that we really need to take away from this, and I know you've used it many times on your page, is that idea of co-regulation. And that is how we teach it. We can obviously give our kids skills, and we can give them a script and all of those sorts of things. But in the moment, when they are stressed and when they resort to their default responses to sensation, because the processing and the cognitive reasoning, it's not there, and Dr. Dan Siegel's wonderful flipped your lid analogy. And if you haven't heard of it, just Google those words, you will find it. It's brilliant. And when you think about when a lid has flipped and when I'm not actively making decisions, I will revert to what my body knows to do to keep me safe. So it's important for us to help our children to kind of frame their default, I guess, but also to be there and be present and let them borrow our nervous system.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you tell parents, like parents you work with, or for yourself and your girls, what is co-regulation? If people haven't heard that term, or if it's a bit new and they're like, sometimes people have heard it, but they're like, how do you actually do that? What is Can you explain?
So co-regulation, so children, and I'm not going to put an age on it because I've seen various things about an age when children are able to independently self-regulate, and also because it's so individual, I wouldn't dare put an age on it. But essentially, in childhood, children can't regulate themselves, their sensations. So, you know, they might have an emotion, it's really big, and they need to calm their nervous system down, but they can't actively do it independently. So what they will rely on is us as usually the primary caregiver, but you can still co-regulate with anybody if they essentially feel safe with you in that moment. And they will start to feed off your cues, your bodily cues. So if you're in fight or flight stage and panicked, their nervous system tries to meet yours. Right. So because we are primed to stay alive. We're primed for survival. So their body is saying something is wrong. I like to use the analogy of there is a tiger in this room, or there is something on fire. So I need to run, or I need to fight. I don't know what it is, but I know that I need to respond, and I need to respond quickly. So they're picking up on those cues. So similarly, if your body is showing them that there is no tiger in this room, we are calm, we are safe. That is the big key word that I will always come back to, is you are safe. And I can tell you that all I want, but if you are going to believe it, you're going to need to see it in me.
Yes.
If I feel safe, you feel safe. And that is how we co-regulate, because their body is then saying, oh, as far as I'm aware, there are no threats. There's nothing behind door number 3 that's going to jump out and get me, right? And that in a very simplistic term is co-regulation. So the biggest key for us is to focus on our own sensory systems first and foremost. That's the biggest tip I'll ever give parents.
Yeah. How do we do that then? If I'm a mom or a dad, you know, if I'm a parent and I want to know how to understand a bit of this stuff so I can support my child through their big, hairy emotions, through those meltdowns, through those tantrums when they're having a hard time and blowing up kind of thing. How do I do this? How do I support myself, my nervous system, so that I'm better able to show up and help and support them?
I think it starts with getting to know your nervous system. So like there's work, there's groundwork, and I hate to have to say it to you. It's going to take some effort, right? But there is groundwork. You need to get to know your sensory system, right? Know what makes you feel calm. Know what makes you feel alert. Know what you like. Know what you don't like. And you don't need to know individually for all of the 8 sensory systems. You just need to know the basic premise of it is what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what calms me down, what makes me feel really on edge.
So this is you, the parent, right?
You, the parent, as the adult. So, you know, and it might be even silly little things. Like I know that I can't deal with the sound of chewing, and I
was going to say, what does that look like? Maybe just give yourself as an example.
So I get to put my weird on display. That's always wonderful. But yeah, so I'm really funny about tactile sensitive. So if my hands feel grubby, I'm sitting there and I'm wringing them out. I much prefer to be barefoot, and if I've got shoes on, I'm constantly thinking about my shoes. So I can't focus because I'm like, there's something going on my feet that I do not like right now. I know I love deep pressure, but I have to be in control of it. So if someone comes up to me and tries to squeeze my shoulders, I instantly will attack. And it's not because I'm a violent person. It's just that instant reflex of I don't feel safe. Something's wrong. My nervous system is under attack. So they're just a couple of examples, and you'll have many of your own. So just thinking about little things every day, what bugs me? And you might actually realize, oh, that's actually got a sensory component attributed to it. Like I don't dislike people eating. I mean, my family are Maltese. We are all about people eating, but it's the chewing, it's the sound of it that then bothers me. And I also know that that's something that is on me. I need to get out of the room. I'm not going to make someone stop eating just because I can't deal with it. And because I understand that, I'm able to regulate my response.
Oh my God. I'm trying to let you talk, but having all these
cut me off because I'll go off onto a tangent as well. But that is essentially so, because when you understand your own sensory system, you can then empathize a lot better. And you can understand, oh, my child isn't deliberately trying to make my life hard. His sticky fingers are genuinely making his nervous system feel under threat.
And they can't tell us this. They can't like articulate or conceptualize or recognize that this is the thing that's really bugging me, or the shampoo, the smell of the shampoo, or the noise in the supermarket. They're just being like irritated or agitated or rude or silly or destructive. And like it takes up, like I'm so glad we're having this part of the conversation, because when we understand the stuff, like you said, the little nuances or like idiosyncrasies for us, then we can look at our child and go, oh my God, there's probably, there will be little things going on there that are underneath the iceberg, you know, as we say.
And remembering as well that, again, it all happens contextually. So as much as we follow our children around for all of the day, sometimes it feels like we don't get everything. So we haven't been inside their nervous system. So we don't know how many different things they have tolerated and squashed down all day long, only to have, like you said, the tip of the iceberg, the thing that where you're just like, it's just sticky fingers. Give it a rest. And I'm not gonna sit there and preach like I've never done that as well. Like I know lots of times where I'm like, oh my God, just take the green cup. Just take the green cup. Yellow is in the sink. Take the green cup. But the thing is as well, and I think that comes back to one of the other things I love to tell parents to do is, and I'm not going to claim the analogy, it's not mine. The whole idea is put on your own life jacket first, right? So if you're in an emergency situation, you cannot take care of someone else or even your own oxygen mask. You can't take care of them if your body is not safe, right? So you need to make your body safe. And that sometimes, if your child is physically safe, might mean leaving the room. And it might be, I think it's having your own strategy. So the first and the foremost, if you can only think of one thing in the moment, it's breathe. Because when you're slowing that down, you're giving your nervous system a signal to say, you can relax, we're all good. We're all good. Calm down, have a rest. So breathing out for longer than you breathe in will actually really give you that. So you might breathe in, and it doesn't really, there's not an exact science to it. I'm sure some people say there is, but essentially it's not, if you were to breathe in for 4, breathe out for 7. And that breathing out really deeply is really going to help you just to relax. And it's all linked in with, I know you're a big fan of polyvagal theory, but I'm not going to go into it because I'm not an expert on that one, but it is all linked into that sort of idea. So you want to do that. The other thing that's really, really helpful is to orient yourself. Now, what that means is you just need to be mindful of your surroundings. And it is as simple as me stopping and saying, there are lots of books on that shelf. They look really straight. The weather and the temperature in here is quite mild. You know, I can smell the remnants of dinner. And what you're doing is you're bringing yourself back to your body again, and you're taking a little bit more of that control, that conscious control of, again, hey, nervous system, I'm good. And then I guess once you've got that, the other two things I think that are really important, I guess they move beyond sensory, are a little bit more cognitive. And they are, the one I like to really think about is that now is not the time for definitives, right? So now is not the time for I always, I never, this is happening because he always, he never. It's not the time for that, because you're going to get yourself into a little bit of a rut. You're not in a great place right now. Focus on your body, focus on calming. And if you need to have that thought process later, great. Move away from any definitives. And it's okay if you're having them, just let that thought go. Just let it pass you, move it out of the way. And then the next thing you really need to focus on is yourself. What do I need right now? Do I need to step out of the room? Do I need more breathing? Do I need to ask for help? Do I need, to go and give myself some deep pressure, to listen to some lovely music? And if you have those things, you are going to find that your child will regulate a lot easier as well.
Wow. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm like trying not to type really loudly, taking notes every time I talk to you.
I love it. I guess to give myself a plug, I am over, and I know you've got the links and things, so I am over at my Sensory Emotion Mama Instagram page. And I'm always open to questions, always, always, always open to questions. So please, I can't guarantee I'll have an answer, but I'll try and at least steer you in the right direction. So if there is anything I've started to touch on today, I really encourage you, reach out. Like the whole point of that page is it's just a passion project. And yeah, please ask me questions.
Yeah, it is brilliant. I don't know if you guys have seen, I'm forever sharing Danielle's posts and stories. You know, also fun, creative activities for kids, regulating activities, you know, playful things and fine motor, like lots and lots of OT stuff as well. But yes, I will put all of your details in the Facebook feed after we jump off. They will also be down below in the description of YouTube, so if you guys are watching there later. But head on over to Instagram, and your handle is at Sensory Motion Mama. So please go and do that, guys. Reach out to Danielle. You know, ask, like she said, she's an open book. She's so knowledgeable. Ask her questions. She's got, you know, such a bank of like, I sometimes say, I have said a few times, sometimes I think I should have been an OT.
I always say that you're an OT by proxy. Like I do really think you've got I think the thing that makes an OT, and I may upset a few OTs here, but I think at the end of the day, because our field is so broad, isn't necessarily about the knowledge we have, it's about the way we think.
Yes.
And I think that's what really makes an OT. We've just got this, we're very holistic thinkers. And I think that's one thing. And I do feel like it's the thing that I love to bring to my work is that realism. Like, you know, as I mentioned to you off camera before, it was a whole storm of events here tonight. And I'm still keeping my head above water some days, and I get dysregulated. I get so dysregulated, and there's nothing wrong with dysregulation. We all get dysregulated. But I'm really happy to acknowledge that. And I really do believe in just keeping things simple, keeping my strategies simple, because, you know, I remember every single time I've been to the physiotherapist, and they always give me these wonderful exercises, and I love to say that I do them, but I don't. And that's not on them. That is so on me, because I'm not then putting them into my day. But then what I'm finding is, if I am finding a way to functionally implement that, so if I can do it while I'm brushing my teeth or something like that, then I'm actually able to get them done. And I'm very big on function, and I'm very big on streamlining as well, which I think you need to be as a parent of spirited children.
100%, 1000%. So I think my takeaways are knowing our sensory system, and that the kind of like the function of those, I guess, is to keep us safe and our kids, and that can be why we see some of these more challenging or disruptive behaviors. Our kids perceive things differently to us. We do to them. We can, you know, we have a different nervous system. I think you said something like, we haven't been inside our child's body and nervous system to experience life like them. Like that was another mic drop moment for me. And breathing, so simple. We have access to it all the time. We don't have to go and get it or anything. No definitives in those moments, the always, the never, that really polarized thinking. That's so unhelpful. And then your last point was, what do I need? In these moments? And that could be, I think you said, correct me if I'm wrong, that could be removing myself for a little period from the situation so that I can.
Absolutely. Like I'm not advocating for leaving the house and going down to the pub or anything like that if there's no one here. But yeah, that might just mean you need to walk away from the room. And look, and I guess, and again, I think you would do this part better than me. Obviously, there will be an element of us being able to explain to our child what is happening in my body and why I'm walking away, that I'm not rejecting you, that I'm not, you know, punishing your behavior by exiting. It's just that case of, I am feeling really, really overwhelmed in my body. So it's on me. So not because of, so my body feels really dysregulated. I will come back in just 1 minute. I just need to breathe so that I can focus. And I know that's a lot of words, so obviously you'd use less words. The thing is, as well, as if you're doing things like this regularly, if you're safely coming back and you are attuning to your child again, then they're not going to necessarily feel that threat as much that you are leaving. So And you know, and you may not have that luxury. That's fine also. So trying to find what you can do in that space. And I think that does go back to that asking for help. Every so often you might need another person. And I think just the only thing I'd add to, I guess, what you had said about the safety is just that idea, safety and sensory, it's all about your own perception of it. So just because I think something is very safe and an environment is safe and a room is safe, doesn't mean that my child thinks that it is safe. And they are not wrong. If they perceive that they are unsafe, then they perceive they are unsafe. End of.
So much. I know we could talk for so much longer, and I could pick your brain, and we could go down so many different avenues, but I will let you go. We both have little ones, and it's evening time here in Sydney, and I'm 1000% going to have you on if you'll come on again.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Please, everyone, show Danielle some love in the comments. I've seen some, oh my God, I love this. Makes so much sense. Borrow our nervous system. That's so powerful. So co-regulation forever, baby.
was that Cara? That was like a Cara comment. Was that a Cara comment?
So I want to say again, I really appreciate you. I appreciate your heart, and I appreciate your wisdom, your brain, and everything you've given us tonight. And I know there'll be so much more that you have to offer parents in support of them and their families. So please, guys, do jump on over to Danielle's Instagram, give her a follow, check out her reels. I'm telling you, they are beautiful, and they are so fun and creative and insightful. If you're scrolling mindlessly, scroll on Sensory Motion Mama, because you'll be like, oh my God, I could do, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Or I do anyway. But thank you, and I will let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the chance to, have my moment to talk about something that I obviously am a little bit passionate about. So I appreciate the spotlight. Thank you.
You are so welcome. All right, guys. Thank you for jumping on tonight, and good night. And we will see you actually in the next week. Next week, we have the beautiful founder of Big Life Journal coming on to speak with us. I know a lot of people here in our community are a fan of Big Life Journal. I am. And so that's on next week. And then we're kind of into Christmas. So I'm pumped that I was able to have you on, Danielle, before the crazy rush. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you all watching along.
All right. Thank you, guys, and have a good night. See ya.